and I had this massive, I don't know if I told you, I've started that book that you,
Yes.
what is it? Stop Thinking, Start Living. I actually started that, which was really, really good. And I got probably about a couple of pages into it, and there was something in there that actually had that light bulb moment. And they were talking about, what did they say? There's a shift, the sudden shift. And I remember when I was reading that page, they were talking about a shift in understanding, not through change of, shift in understanding, not through change of circumstance. And you know how much I love my job. You know, my job is, actually I'll have to, I have a day job, which was one of the reasons why I actually wanted to start this podcast. It wasn't the main reason, but it was actually high up in there. I don't know if you remember, because my day job, it's great for what it is. It pays the bills. But I wouldn't say that it's my passion, and I don't jump up for joy every day to go and do that job. So what drives me when we first started doing this podcast was to be able to, to be able to leave my day job and do something that I actually like. On this journey that I'm on now, I'm actually realizing that my day job that I hated for 4 years is actually the job that's going to be the biggest resources to where I actually want to go. And it's funny, when I read that, I actually freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, it was a shift in understanding, not through a change of circumstance. And I realized that because I'm heavily into wanting to do more community work, a lot more work within, female and cultural society, and a lot of health forums that I'm wanting to do, using the place that I work now, they actually have quite a lot of resource and information that will actually help to get me to where I am. So I actually had a massive discovery in that, and realized the place that I hated the most, if I shifted the way I looked at it, it's actually probably the biggest resource that I've got behind me. So, I think that was very, 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 very amazing that I came to that point, because I wouldn't say I hate my job so much. It's just not where I wanted to be. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that book with me, because I haven't even got halfway through it, but it's been an eye-opener.
Have a look at that, though. It's the same job, same scenario. You wake up, and now you're looking at it from a completely different point of view.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like, I actually underlined that word when I read it, because it actually shifted so much, because it was shift in understanding, not through change of circumstance. Because I was physically looking to change out of the building that I was working in, like the circumstances that I was in. I was like, I want to change all that. But when I actually shifted my actual thought process in that place, I realized it's actually a gold mine that I'm sitting in, and I didn't realize that before. And I wouldn't have been able to find that place if I didn't actually continue to pursue what it is that I wanted. And then it just had that light bulb moment. I was like, holy heck, I've been sitting in this gold mine this whole time, and I didn't even realize it. It actually fascinated me. I was actually very happy.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's everything's the way that we look at it.
Yeah.
Like we can be same scenario, same situation, and if we're not, you can make anything good or bad. And when you have a look at some of the happiest people out there don't even have that much. But the way that they're looking at their lives is from just like a pure point of view, and being really grateful for everything they absolutely have. And in your scenario, just like, all right, well, what do I want? And then how can I get to there? And then you're just looking at your job as a perfect avenue to do it, and you hated it for so many years, and now it's something that can help you.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
It is actually, because it's not a surprise to the most of the people that I know that it was always just, there was no passion or drive when I go to my work. And for most people who are working in that 9 to 5 scenario, it is kind of like, I'm not jumping out of bed with excitement to come here. But if you actually shift, the way that you actually look at it, I was fortunate enough to go through that process to be able now to appreciate it, because I'm never going to leave there now, because I understand the actual significance and what it's actually going to do for my purpose. That was a massive.
But even if you didn't find that, and then just say if you're in 9 to 5, even just having appreciation for what that job does what the security does, what that money does, what opportunities you can have outside, whether if you get some time to do some fun things. And I feel that we always look at every situation that we have in our life from like a negative point of view. Like if we're going to a 9-to-5 job, it's just like, well, what is all the things that I hate about this job? And we never make a list of
the things we like.
The things that we like. Because everything's got pros and cons. Even with what I do, there's still, like, even though I love doing what I do, there's still bad aspects of every single thing in life. However, if we draw all of our attention to that, even something that we absolutely love, we can drown ourselves in that negativity by constantly thinking about that sort of stuff, always have it in our head, and then it's just going to outweigh it's going to consume all the positive points to it. But even if you hate your job and you've got a long list of things that you don't like, if you don't pay any attention to that and pay attention to, even if it's like 1 or 2 things that you like about it, you're going to change your attitude. You're going to be a lot more happier, and that happiness may get you like a promotion, or someone else may see you and then you can transition into a job that you do like, or even just being generally happier. It's going to change everything throughout your life, the more positive you think about every single situation.
Because I think, and that's how a lot of people are, well, not a lot of people, but some of the people who do have that, drone of 9 to 5, which is the place that I was at, for many years, because I've always been in, in office jobs and, the straight 9 to 5. And because it wasn't anything that I actually enjoyed doing, and it wasn't a drive or a passion, obviously my list of cons was huge, and it was always like that 9 to 5, which is why I would drag my feet to go into work, which is why I would never see the actual opportunities within the office itself to be able to move myself, because I didn't want to be there. But now it's like a whole new understanding. It's like a whole new appreciation of being able to actually go in there and find it, because it was definitely a light bulb moment for me when I saw that and understood that currently where I am at the moment, I won't stay there, but within the organization, I will move around and be able to just move my way into that place. Oh,
well, it's like, exciting. Well, even if your list was only one negative thing, like you just said you had a long list. If it was like one thing, but you paid all your attention to that one thing, you will still hate your job, and you will still want that scenario to change. You will want to go somewhere else. And there's an analogy where it's if you're walking along and you've got shoes on, and then you've got like a little rock, like a tiny rock in the bottom of your shoe, and you're sort of walking along, that's a negative thing. But so many people, instead of not paying attention to that little rock or shifting your focus, they'll want to change the shoe. So instead of, they'll change.
That's a good example.
They'll change the shoe, put another shoe back on, but there'll still be that thing there.
Yeah.
But it's not about changing your environment. It's about changing the way you think about that environment and where your attention sort of leads you.
Gosh, I've had that little rock in my shoe. But that's funny. And it is the way that you see it, isn't it? The way that you actually approach